His hands were on my hips, his breath hot against my neck, and every part of me was trembling. We were in a hotel room, the curtains drawn just enough to let the neon glow from the city spill across the bed. Malik's lips moved over my skin, slow and hungry. His fingers slipped under my dress, pushing the fabric higher and higher until cool air brushed my thighs. I gasped, gripping his shoulders. "My husband never touched me like this," I whispered. Malik pulled back just enough to look into my eyes, his own dark and shining. "That's because your husband doesn't know how to touch you. But I do. And before I tell you exactly how he touched me, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and stay until the end. Because my story is one you won't believe. Let me take you back to how it all started. I'm not going to say my name. Or the exact city where I live. All you need to know is I'm in my mid-30s, married for 8 years, living somewhere in Georgia. From the outside, my life looks perfect. A nice house. A decent job. A polite husband. But behind closed doors, it's like living in a museum. Quiet. Cold. Dusty. My husband and I, we barely touch anymore. We don't fight, exactly. But we exist side by side like polite roommates. Our sex life is a routine. Predictable. Silent. Sometimes it doesn't happen for months. Then one day, everything changed. I met Malik at the gym. I'd forced myself there after work, determined to sweat off 5 stubborn pounds. I was on the treadmill, hair in a frizzy ponytail, face flushed, when he stepped onto the machine next to mine. He was tall, caramel-skinned, with broad shoulders and eyes so dark they almost looked black. He flashed a smile at me that made my pulse trip. "Careful, girl. You're making that treadmill beg for mercy." I laughed, embarrassed by how out of breath I was. "Just trying to work off some stress." "You don't need to work off anything," he said, shaking his head. "You're perfect the way you are." My cheeks burned. No one had said something like that to me in years. After that, I started seeing him everywhere. In the free weights section. By the water fountain. Walking to the parking lot. He always found something to say. A compliment. A joke. A quick smile that made me feel noticed. Sometimes he'd touch my arm lightly as he talked. Nothing inappropriate, but enough to leave a trail of heat on my skin. I kept telling myself it was harmless. But I started wearing better workout clothes. Putting on a bit of lip gloss before heading to the gym. I'd catch myself glancing around, hoping he'd be there. One night, I stayed late at the gym, the last one there. Malik was finishing up too. He offered to walk me to my car because it was dark outside. I tried to say no, but he insisted. When we reached my car, he opened the door for me. I thanked him and started to leave. But he reached out and lightly rested his hand on my waist. My breath caught in my throat. It was the softest touch, but it felt electric. "You deserve more than what you're getting," he murmured. I stared at him, heart pounding. "Malik. I'm married." "I know," he said softly. "But that doesn't mean you have to live like you're dead." He was so close I could smell his cologne, warm and spicy, like cinnamon and smoke. For a second, I almost leaned into him. But panic swept through me, and I stepped back. "I have to go," I said, practically diving into my car. That night, I drove home shaking. The whole time, my phone buzzed with a text from Malik. "You deserve to feel alive. Just think about it." I lay in bed next to my husband, staring at the ceiling, wondering how my life had gotten so quiet and cold. I tried to remember the last time my husband had touched me the way Malik did. I couldn't. That's how it started. Just a simple touch in a dark parking lot. But even then, deep down, I knew I was already slipping into something I wouldn't be able to stop. After that night in the parking lot, I tried to stay away from Malik. I told myself it was just flirting. A silly crush. Nothing more. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't check the gym schedule, hoping I'd see him there. My marriage felt even emptier after that. My husband was still the same man. Quiet. Predictable. Kind in his way. But he barely looked at me anymore. He'd come home from work, give me a quick kiss, then sink into the couch, scrolling his phone or watching sports until bedtime. We talked about groceries, bills, the dog. Never about how lonely we both were. Malik was the opposite. He made me feel awake. A few days after the parking lot incident, I was back at the gym. I spotted him across the room, lifting weights. My pulse jumped before I could stop it. He caught my eye and grinned. Then he made his way over, wiping sweat off his forehead with a towel. "Hey stranger. You've been avoiding me." "I've been busy," I said, though I could barely meet his eyes. "Busy trying to forget me?" he teased, leaning closer. I tried to laugh it off, but my voice shook. "Malik. I'm married. This can't happen." He tilted his head, studying me. "Does being married mean you have to stop feeling things?" I opened my mouth, but I couldn't find an answer. Because the truth was, I was feeling things. Things I hadn't felt in years. After that, Malik started texting me even more. "Thinking of your smile. You deserve more. Just one night. Let me show you." I tried to ignore him. But each night, lying next to my husband's sleeping body, I found myself picking up my phone. Then one Friday night, I snapped. I'd had a miserable day at work. My boss yelled at me. A coworker dumped extra work on my desk. When I got home, my husband barely looked up from the TV. "Sorry, babe. Can we talk later?" Game's tied. I stared at him, feeling invisible. So when Malik texted me that night, my resistance crumbled. "Come have a drink. You need it." I hesitated. Then typed back. "Where?" We met at a small bar downtown. Malik was already there, leaning against the bar, wearing a dark shirt that hugged his chest. He turned and his whole face lit up when he saw me. "Damn. You look incredible." I blushed, suddenly shy. He ordered me a margarita. We sat in a quiet booth, our knees brushing under the table. Malik listened as I poured out everything. My loneliness. My fading marriage. How I felt like I'd disappeared inside my own life. He never interrupted. He just reached across the table and took my hand. "You deserve to be worshipped," he said softly. My throat went tight. "Don't say that." "Why not?" "It's true." We finished our drinks. Outside, the night air was cool and smelled like rain. I tried to say goodbye, but Malik stepped closer. His hands cupped my face. "Tell me you don't feel this." "Malik, But before I could finish, he kissed me. It was soft at first. But then his tongue slid into my mouth, coaxing mine to dance with his. My knees nearly gave out. I should have pushed him away. But instead, I kissed him back. When we finally pulled apart, I was breathless. "I can't do this," I whispered, though my body was trembling with want. "Yes, you can," he said, brushing his thumb over my lower lip. "Because you want to feel alive again." That night, I lay in bed next to my husband, my lips still tingling from Malik's kiss. And if you're still watching, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this. Because my story is about to get even more intense. I knew I'd crossed a line. I knew there was no going back. But deep down, I didn't want to go back. Because for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. For days after Malik kissed me outside that bar, I tried to pretend it hadn't happened. I kept busy. Cleaned the house. Worked late. Tried to throw myself into being a good wife. But my mind was a mess. Every time my husband sat next to me on the couch without touching me. Every time he fell asleep before I even turned off my lamp. I thought of Malik. His mouth. His hands. The way he made me feel like I was the only woman in the world. Malik kept texting me. Sometimes it was harmless. Good morning, beautiful. Other times, not so harmless. Could still taste you last night. When can I have you again? I'd stare at my phone, telling myself not to answer. But almost every time, I did. One Thursday, my husband was late coming home. He texted that he was stuck at work. I sat in the kitchen, feeling restless and alone. Then Malik's name popped up on my phone. Come see me. I can't stop thinking about you. My fingers hovered over the keys. I typed. Malik, I can't. He replied almost instantly. Yes, you can. Just come talk. No pressure. Half an hour later, I was pulling into his apartment complex. He opened the door wearing black sweatpants and a white t-shirt that stretched across his chest. He grinned when he saw me. Knew you'd come. We can't keep doing this, I said, stepping inside anyway. But you're here, he said softly. Which means you want this as much as I do. He led me to his couch. We sat there, side by side, barely touching. Malik reached over and took my hand. Do you even remember the last time your husband touched you like he meant it? I swallowed hard. That's not fair. Isn't it? I pulled my hand away and stood up, pacing. This is wrong, Malik. I'm married. You're married. So we're supposed to just exist, he shot back. We're supposed to die inside because we're wearing rings? I stopped pacing, my heart slamming in my chest. It's not that simple. Yes, it is, he said, standing and moving closer. Either you keep living half a life, or you let yourself feel something real. I opened my mouth to argue, but he was suddenly there, right in front of me. His hands framed my face. His eyes burned into mine. Tell me you don't want me, he murmured. Say it, and I'll walk away. But I couldn't say it. Because it wasn't true. Instead, I whispered. Malik. And that was all it took. He kissed me. Hard. This time there was nothing gentle about it. His tongue pushed into my mouth, claiming me. His hand slid down my sides, gripping my hips. I felt myself melting into him. All the guilt. All the fear. Gone. He lifted me as if I weighed nothing and carried me to his bedroom. I gasped when he tossed me onto the bed. Malik, we can't, I panted. Baby, we already did. He crawled over me, kissing my neck, my shoulders, working his way lower. I gripped the sheets as his mouth found my breasts through my blouse. You're shaking, he murmured against my skin. I'm scared. Don't be. I'll take care of you. He unbuttoned my blouse, slowly, one button at a time. I arched my back as his fingers brushed my skin. My breath came out in soft gasps. God, you're beautiful, he whispered. He kissed me again, deeper, as his hand slid between my thighs. My hips lifted into his touch before I could stop myself. It felt so good. So dangerous. So, right. Afterwards, we lay tangled in the sheets, the room silent except for our breathing. Malik stroked my hair. I'm not letting you go, he said quietly. My chest tightened. This can't keep happening. It's going to, he said. Because you're mine now. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who might be living half a life, just like I was. Because trust me, it gets even hotter from here. That night, I went home to my husband. He was asleep on the couch, TV still playing. I stood there watching him for a long time. And the only thing I could think was, I didn't feel guilty enough to stop. For the next few days, I tried to stay away from Malik. I kept telling myself the same thing over and over. This has to stop. I'm married. He's married. We're going to ruin everything. But my body didn't care. Every time my husband brushed past me without touching me. Every time I lay awake at night, staring at the ceiling. All I could think about was Malik. His mouth. His hands. The way he said my name like it was a secret. One Friday, Malik texted me in the middle of the day. Tonight. Same hotel. Room 814. I can't wait any longer. My heart slammed into my ribs. I stared at the message for a long time. I could delete it. Ignore it. Go home and pretend to be the faithful wife. Instead, I texted back. Okay. That evening, I stood in front of the mirror, shaking as I put on makeup. I chose a red dress I hadn't worn in years. It clung to my curves and dipped low in the front. I slipped on high heels, sprayed perfume behind my ears, and tried to steady my breathing. When I walked into the hotel lobby, I felt like a different woman. My heels clicked on the marble floor. My skin prickled with anticipation and fear. I rode the elevator up to the 8th floor. When I stepped into the hallway, I felt my pulse hammering in my throat. I found room 814. Took a deep breath. Then knocked. The door swung open. Malik stood there, wearing black dress pants and an open white shirt. He looked me up and down, his eyes darkening. Damn. Before I could speak, he pulled me inside. The door slammed shut. Malik pinned me against it, kissing me so hard it stole my breath. His tongue tangled with mine, hot and demanding. I've been going crazy thinking about you, he murmured against my lips. We shouldn't be here, I whispered. But we are, he said, lifting my leg around his hip. And you want this as much as I do. He kissed down my neck, his teeth scraping lightly over my skin. I gasped, clutching his shoulders. Malik dragged me to the bed. He pushed me gently onto my back and stared down at me, breathing hard. Take off your dress. My hand shook as I reached for the zipper. He brushed my fingers away. Let me. He unzipped my dress, so slow it made me whimper. The fabric slipped off my shoulders, pooling around my waist. Malik stared at me, his eyes burning. You have no idea what you do to me. He kissed the tops of my breasts, then lower, until he found the lace edge of my bra. He pulled the strap down with his teeth. Malik, I whispered, my voice shaking. Shoo. I'm going to take care of you. He pushed my dress the rest of the way down. He stepped back to look at me, sprawled on the white sheets in just my bra and panties. God, you're perfect, he murmured. Then he undressed himself. Slow. Confident. When his pants dropped, my eyes widened. He was big. Don't be scared, he whispered, climbing onto the bed. I'll go slow. He kissed me again as his hands roamed my body. He unclasped my bra, tossed it aside, and cupped my breasts in his palms. His thumbs brushed my nipples until they hardened under his touch. I love how sensitive you are, he murmured. His mouth moved lower. When he kissed between my thighs through my panties, I let out a shaky cry. He slipped them off slowly, tossing them aside. Then his tongue found me. I gasped, hips jerking off the bed. Malik held me down, licking me slowly, then faster. All I could do was clutch the sheets and moan his name. When my climax hit, it tore through me like lightning. My whole body shook. He crawled back up and kissed me deeply. That's how a woman should feel, he whispered. He positioned himself above me, nudging my legs wider. He pushed inside, slow and careful at first. I bit my lip, my eyes fluttering shut. Then he started moving. Long, deep thrusts that made me gasp. He kept his eyes on me the whole time. You're mine, he groaned. Say it. I'm yours, I cried, lost in the rhythm. When I came again, it felt endless. My nails dug into his shoulders as I screamed his name. Afterward, we lay tangled in the sheets, my hair damp with sweat. Malik pressed a soft kiss to my temple. "I don't ever want to stop," he whispered. And the terrifying truth was, neither did I. After that night at the hotel, something inside me changed. I stopped pretending. Not to my husband, I still smiled, cooked dinner, kissed his cheek. But inside, I stopped pretending I didn't belong to Malik. It wasn't just about sex anymore. It was about how he made me feel. Wanted. Alive. Seen. And God help me, I started needing that more than I needed to be good. Malik and I started seeing each other regularly. Not every week, we had to be careful. But the moments we did steal? They were electric. Sometimes it was a hotel room. Sometimes just a long drive together at night, parked somewhere quiet. One time, he pulled me into a dark alley behind a restaurant and kissed me so hard I forgot where I was. He made me laugh. He listened. He told me I was beautiful when I hadn't even put on makeup. At home, my husband didn't notice a thing. He'd kiss my forehead and ask if I'd paid the water bill. He still didn't touch me. Didn't ask why I smiled to myself some mornings. Didn't care why I came home late, hair messy, perfume fading. Part of me hated that he didn't notice. The other part was glad. Because if he had, he would have seen the truth all over my face. One afternoon, I lay in Malik's bed, head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. We'd just finished making love. My body was still warm, legs tangled with his. He kissed the top of my head. "What if we just left it all behind?" he said. Left what? Them. Everything. Just started over. My stomach flipped. I lifted my head to look at him. "Malik, we both have lives. Families. This isn't real." He brushed a finger down my cheek. "But it feels real." And it did. In that moment, it felt more real than anything else in my life. But I shook my head. We can't run from the damage we've done. We'd only carry it with us. We lay there in silence for a long time. Later that night, I went home and sat in the dark living room alone. My husband was asleep upstairs. The TV was off. The only sound was the hum of the fridge. I picked up my phone and stared at Malik's last message. "I miss you already." I typed. "I miss you too." Then deleted it. I knew I couldn't leave. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I also knew this. No matter how long I stayed married. No matter how long I smiled through quiet dinners and cold beds. A part of me would always belong to Malik. You might hate me for that. Call me names. Judge me. I understand. But if you've ever felt invisible in your own marriage, if you've ever begged silently to be touched, to be seen, then maybe, just maybe, you understand too. This is my truth. My confession. And the reason I'm telling it, anonymously, is because I know I'm not the only one. There are other women out there, lying beside men who stopped noticing them years ago. Women who cry quietly in the shower, wondering if they're still desirable. Women who smile in public but ache in private. I'm not proud of what I did. But I'm not sorry, either. Because Malik didn't ruin my life. He reminded me I was still alive. And that, sometimes, is more dangerous than anything. So if you've stayed this long, if you've listened to every word of my story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear the truth that's never spoken out loud. Because my story isn't just mine. It's real. It's raw. And it's still unfolding. No, my husband never touched me like Malik did. But maybe that's the real reason I'll never tell him the truth. Because if he knew, he might finally touch me. But by then, it'd be too late.